What is up, guys? When it comes to producing grass finished beef, there are a couple things that are just absolute must. Without them, I think you'll have very limited success. We separated out steers the other day. Now half of these guys are gonna go grass fed, the other half are gonna go grain fed, but I'm gonna keep them all together for about another month. The first thing is we're gonna see if we can get these guys moved to the area that we're gonna finish them. So let's see if we can get them over there. Come on, y'all. Come on. Come on. So I do have my little treat in case I have any trouble. This ought to get them coming. Come on. Oh, they hear the cow herd. They're going to look for that. They definitely know that sound. Come on. Yeah. Crazy. What are y'all doing? Very athletic cattle. Through this gate is where the magic is gonna happen. Oh, give me some room. Hang on. Trampled. Come on through. They look pretty good right now. Steers come through the winter a lot better than cows with calves. I got one straggler, he's the injured one. And man, it is one of the weirdest things how he got injured. I'm gonna go show you in a minute. But yeah, we just got, I don't know, almost 3 inches or 3.5 inches of rain. I'll go check my rain gauge in a minute and see how much rain we got today, this morning. So you can see I just got water everywhere. Completely different than last year. But I'm gonna tell you, there's 2 things. I know I've talked about some of this before, but there are really 2 things that stick out to me. That if you want to finish beef, and especially grass finished beef, you have to do these 2 things or your results are just really poor. Very recognizable steers. You see the little shape on his head, that's heart face. He's one we actually raised from a bottle. And the key with finishing animals, unless you're a feedlot, super high input kind of situation, is letting these animals get some age on them. So these steers are all over 2, and I like to be more like between that like 28 and 36 months. So all of this group falls into that. Now I've got one in here that I'm not going to sell. I think I may just home butcher him because he's done so poorly. But one of the things that a lot of people forget, or they just don't realize when they get into finishing animals, is that it takes some time to get a steer grown up enough where he could start putting some fat on. So it takes about 2 years for their skeleton and all to at least get a high percentage of the way grown. And until they really quit growing size-wise, frame-wise, it is just really difficult to put the weight you need on these animals. So, like I said, probably the biggest one is letting these animals get some age on them. All these are going to be pushing that 28 to 30 month time frame, and that's just one of those things. There's just no way around it. Now, number 2, which I could probably do a slightly better job by breaking this pasture down a little bit. But basically, the second most important thing, you let your animals get a little age on them, is you have got to put some high protein groceries in these animals. And they have to be able to keep these rumens all the way full of this kind of grass. So you can see in here, this pasture, I'm gonna say is somewhere around 50 to 70% legumes. So we've got a lot of clover, we've got some vetch, which if you don't know what vetch is, this is some vetch right here. It's another type of legume. The other thing we have in here is it kind of grew up a little patchy, but you can see some over here is I've planted some turnips. This looks like a really big one. So we planted a bunch of purple top turnips. They don't really eat the roots too much. They like the tops. And then we have ryegrass, which this ryegrass is in really good condition. And all these are foods that are very, very high in protein. If you don't have super high protein and keep these cows' rumens completely full of super high quality feed, you will never finish these animals. So just for comparison, you see how all the steers look nice, pretty full, like they're just primed up to explode. And then I've got this guy. I have done everything to this little steer. I don't know what is wrong with him, but his mama had 2 animals like this in a row. And so we actually butchered the mama, and I've got this calf. I do not know what to do with it. He is on good groceries. He's been treated for everything, and we cannot get him to grow. Have no idea what's going on with him, but he's been a real pain. So like I said, I think almost no matter what condition he's in, he's going to be on this clover for the next 4 months. When this super high quality forage is done, he's getting butchered regardless of the condition he is, because he's just taking up space. Now, I don't know if you remember, but we have these 2 horned steers. They are actually identical twins. And we ended up pulling one and bottle feeding it, which I can see the number. Yeah, the one that lost his tag. So this is the one we actually bottle fed. And he's probably slightly larger than the one that was dam raised, but they both look very, very good. And so, like I said, those kind of couple things. Now, what I'm really going to do is, I got some people who want some grain finished. So I got all these in this pasture for probably a month. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 3 of them and separate them out. And those 3 I will take and probably split this field in half, where they stay on good grass, but then start supplementing them with some grain just to soften the fat up a little bit. And you can see the way our pastures are. I don't go spraying my pastures and kill everything before we plant. And even when stuff comes up, you know, I got a few bitter weeds and other things in here. I got all kinds of stuff. It's just a mixed pasture. Most of these things the cattle will eat. There's a few that they really don't. But I like the diversity in our pasture, and I just let it be. So we'll plant some stuff, but I really don't lose too much sleep over having a few bitter weeds or something like that growing, or a few thistles or anything like that. I just leave them alone. Now, the tough thing about here in the south is our perennial grasses just are not high enough protein to really grass finish animals. You're not going to put fat on any of these steers by feeding them Bahia and Bermuda that's growing wild in your pastures. It really just will not quite do it. We've tried. I've done some experimenting with some it's our summer feed plots, whatever you want to call them. I've got a couple of videos on that, but I may try that this summer and see if those summer, I planted basically sorghum, Sudan grass, cowpeas, and a couple other things mixed in. And it definitely shows some promise to be able to feed, to finish some steers in the summer, or at least get some good growth out of my cow herd, versus just kind of sustaining them on some of the low protein summer grasses we have that grow wild here. So I will do some experimenting with that going forward, but to me, if you want to grass finish springtime with these really high protein cool season grasses, there's nothing better. I'm sure you can see them way back there, but this is a very big section, and the grass here, a high percentage of it is literally like 2 feet tall. I mean, this stuff's, it's above my knees with all these high quality forages. And another thing I know you guys are wondering, saying, why in the heck is this guy finishing some of these cows or steers on grass, and why is he doing some of them grained? And I know I could probably go on and on about reasons why, but it basically boils down to one very simple thing. And that's the fact that we are in Louisiana, which here obesity is certainly a way of life, and people like fatty, juicy steaks. Now, you could get fat on a grass-fed animal, no doubt, but it is not quite the same amount of fat or as soft as a real grain-finished animal that is just loaded with fat. So we still have some people who just much prefer that. They don't eat a lot of beef, and when they do, they want it grain finished. And I can tell you, even in our own house, it's the same exact way. I probably have a slight preference for grass-fed. I just like the flavor. I can deal with slightly less fat. You don't have to be, you gotta be a little bit more careful when you cook it, because it will get tough if you overcook it with less fat. But my wife definitely prefers a grain finished animal. So even in our own household, we're kind of torn. So, you know, basically we're gonna produce what people want to buy from us. And right now we have a few loyal customers that basically buy all of our animals. Like one guy buys pretty much 2 grass finished steers a year. And then I've got a list of about 10 folks. It's about as far as I get every year to sell all of our animals. They pretty much never turn us down. So to me, it's all about just producing what people want. So that's why I split and do half and half. But anyway, I got to fill this thing up with water so they got something to drink. So anyway, that's just my take on grass finishing beef. So hopefully this helps some of you guys out a little bit, or just brings a little bit of clarity. But that's my thoughts at any rate. Tell me that's not some gorgeous forage for them.